Hey, this is Steve with Superior Home Supplies, and we are going to show you today how to install a MRCOOL mini split. So we're going to start with the unboxing video first. So we're going to open this puppy up and see what we got. You want to be careful to make sure that your knife doesn't go too deep so you don't scratch or damage anything inside the box. One thing that I noticed right away is that this is packaged very, very well with foam all around it. My knife down, reach in here.
What is this piece that you pull out here, Steve?
So this is the inside air handler. So this is going to be mounted on the wall. This is our electric cord, which has got everything that we need to wire up to the outside unit, which we'll get to. And then we've got in here, this is some of the installation stuff that we need. This is the insulation that goes around some of the hoses. These are the filters for inside the air handler. Paperwork, the remote control, the smart USB AC controller, instruction manual. And this is your wall template. Like I says, do not discard, because you're going to put this on the wall. We're going to level it, and then we're going to use this to set up our outside work. All right, so now we're going to look at the outside unit. So this is going to be the outside inverter, which is going to provide both heat and cold. Oh, okay, cool. This is the pop-up. So again, nice foam packaging to keep it safe while it's shipping. Here's our line set, so this is going to be connected inside and outside.
Now with the MRCOOL systems, do you have to charge the line sets?
Nope, the system comes pre-charged with all the refrigerant you need. And you can see, this ain't that heavy. I can do a couple little curls with this guy. And you can see that it's got holes here. Right here, we're going to be able to mount it to the ground so that it's safe during a hurricane down here in Florida. We got our drain line. This is the stuff that we need to drill the hole through the wall. We've already got the right equipment for that. So let's go inside and we'll show you where we're going to put it, and then we're going to go outside, show you where we're going to put the outside unit, and then we're going to get started on installing this. All right, so we are in my office, and this is the closet. We're going to be putting the air handler up here and then running it through the outside. So this is a cinder block wall, and so we have a 2.5-inch wide hole saw that we're going to use to cut through to run the line set and the drain line and the electrical outside. All right, so this is where the outside unit is going to be. Basically, the closet is about here. So we're going to drill a hole through the wall here, run it down, and then this condenser is going to be set here. We're going to lift up these pavers so we can properly mount it to the ground. This is a 30 amp electrical disconnect. You will want to have a licensed electrician come out to your home and add a dedicated line to your breaker box for this. It needs to be a minimum of 20 amp, maximum of 30 amp. Okay, and then
those numbers change depending upon what unit you got.
Correct. Those numbers will vary based upon the particulars of the unit that you get. In this particular case, we have this wire here that we're going to use to wire this up. This is 14.2 gauge wire, which is the minimum, 12 2 is the preferred, and again, that's for the 9K. The wiring requirements are going to be a little bit different, but the big thing I want you to know is that this is something that you don't want to go beyond. Make sure you have your electrician put your disconnect in for you, and then you can wire it up. We'll show you how to wire this up, how to wire it up to the outside unit and everything. But first, we got to go inside, mount the air handler, and run the line set and all that stuff. So we're going to go back inside. We're going to start the clock and actually start this installation. All right, it is now 9:34. Our goal is to have this completely installed by 11:34. We're trying to do this in 2 hours. Andy, who is helping me with this, is going to be going through the instruction manual, making sure that I don't forget anything. But like your typical guy, I'm just kind of winging it. I'm going to go with what I saw on the instruction video. We're going to put this up. We're going to find our studs. I'm just going to set this up here real quick, eyeballing that looks relatively centered, and then here.
In a note on the mounting position, you want to make sure that you're at least 6 inches down from the ceiling and at least 5 inches in from either side.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my level up here, get this thing leveled. Okay, that looks to be level. My stud is a little bit further over. This over a little bit. You know what I should do? Take this down. I'm just going to punch a hole right through here. There goes my level. This is what happens when you're doing it live without a net, folks.
I was going to edit that part out.
No, you don't have to. You can edit that part out.
Yeah.
All right, so we're back up here with our template. We're going to put these over the holes. I want to put this up a little bit higher. Let's see, about here. Exact level on the bottom. I am not too terribly concerned about this being a specific height from the ceiling or off of the top of the door jamb. I'm just wanting it to be level.
According to the instructions, it should be a minimum of 90.5 inches from the ground, which obviously we're fine here.
So we've got our template on the wall. We're going to go ahead and drill our hole, and then we're going to take the ceiling, the wall mount out and put that up. So what I have here is a 2.5-inch hole saw. So while this is up on the wall, I'm going to drill the hole for it, take the mount down because I've got the holes marked, and then put that mounting plate up. Alright, now I got our different story.
Yes.
Alright, so now we're going to take this bit off. We're going to grab our Phillips head. We're going to get this mounting plate off. So this is mounted to air handler, just like it's going to go on the wall basically. We're going to take this screw out right here, and then there's a little clip right here, a little clip right here, and this just comes off. And then we're going to mount this in the wall, and then we're going to double check our level and then go to the next step. What I would rather drill the screw in. Exactly where it's supposed to go in the plate, so that I know that's right. All right, that's not going anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and put a second screw on each one to make sure that thing is not going anywhere. All right. Now we're going to go to the next step to install this. So this is where, this is the line set for the refrigerant. And this is the drain line. That's your power cord. So we're going to run all that stuff outside. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to run our electrical line right up through the hole that we cut. Now, this is going to be one of those deals where we got to drill 2 holes because we're going to be running this into the upper side of the closet, but then we're going to be cutting a hole through the cinder block. So if you have a cinder block home, then you're going to want to follow what we do next. Otherwise, you're going to just be going right through the wood frame or whatever you have, but the cinder block is the most difficult. And there goes the refrigerant lines and the drain line into the wall. Okay, now we're just going to walk this back. Very cool, and then this just sits and then pops. That's your install for the inside air handler. We still have to connect everything. We got to put our filters in here, but this is step 1. Now is going to become the really fun part, and that is going to be drilling the hole through the outside wall for the drain line. So now we're going to go ahead and drill the hole to the outside. So there's a couple things. One is you want to make sure that the hole to the outside is about 1/4 of an inch lower than the hole here, so that the water will drain down. This hole is about 92 inches, so I'm going to measure over here, and then I'm going to mark it. All right, so this mark is 91 inches, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a long drill bit and drill all the way through from the inside to the outside, to be able to use that as a guide on both sides for the hole saw. Okay, so I'm through the first side of the cinder block. I should be through the cinder block on the other side. Let's go take a quick look. And here's our hole right here, right where we really want it, because we want to put our condenser right here. This is absolutely perfect. So I can actually grab the, Andy, would you go grab the other drill bit? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and drill this hole in through the cinder block from the outside, and then we're going to go back inside and drill the hole the other way. And then we're going to fish the lines through, and then we can finish our install on the outside. Isn't this crazy? We're going to do the exact same thing as we did before. We're going to set this straight on. We've already got a pilot hole. We're going to angle it down just a little bit. Woo. That was some effort. And I can see the pilot hole through here. Hand me the camera real quick. Now, I don't know if you can see in there or not. You can see the pilot hole right there. We're going to come through the other side and we're going to cut that. All right, same as before. We got our test hole, our pilot hole. We're going to set this on here at a slight angle. That's flat, slight angle. Okay, now the hardest part is done. You probably noticed that it went in pretty quick. You can see the daylight. Here's the drywall, the gap that they put between the cinder block and the drywall, and then this is all concrete, and that's the drywall inside there. This is the hardest part. This was the part that I was most concerned about. Now we just have to run our refrigerant lines and drain line and wire this thing up. All right, so now this is the tube that you want to put in the hole here, and then this is the cap. And then you put molding clay around it. We'll do that part later. All right, so I'm going to put this in here. And I'm going to just set this right like that. And then we'll run the refrigerant line, both the refrigerant lines and the power line and the drain line through this hole. Oh, my helper on the inside just handed me the drain line. Okay, and then next, you're going to hand me the power line. This is just simply fishing it through from one side to the other. Although most of this is being done with me with a little bit of help from my buddy helping me here, I would suggest that you have 2 people to do this. I would not try to do this on your own because it is a little bit of a challenge. All right, so we're going to grab our line set next. So we're going to open this up. These 2 insulated pieces for the line set are attached together. So we're just going to gently open this up like that. I'm going to get a little bit of this up so that we can adequately, and then we're going to run this right through.
Maybe to the other side and grab it.
Yep, we're going to have somebody go inside and grab it. And he's going to fish enough through to be able to attach it to the air handler inside. Good? This unwinds so easily because it's such a smaller size copper line. Now I'm going to try to run this drain line back inside. So now the fun begins. So now we're going to start hooking up the indoor unit to the outdoor unit. Now, normally this ductless is going to be on the outside of your house, so this drain is just going to come right off the back of your house. Okay, but because we're putting this inside, we're going to use the drain hose that would normally go off the bottom of the unit outside to run our condensation outside. So we're going to have to make sure this is right. We may need to use some Flex Seal or something like that to seal this up, but this is not going to be your normal install as far as the drain line is concerned. Okay, this is our electrical. We have a white go to gray and a blue go to blue. And all you want to do is make sure, would you give me that towel please too? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to first gently bend this line set to where it will go like very gently, very smoothly. You want to have even pressure because you don't want to kink the line. Okay, so that's good. Now I'm going to push this out a little bit until I get my stuff to line up. Now what you want is you want this to be free of moisture, clean. You don't want to be smoking. You don't want to compromise because all the refrigerant are inside these lines. And so when we put this together, we're going to be releasing the refrigerant into the air handler. Okay, so this is probably the most technical aspect of it. So I'm going to take this cap off. Does this just screw it off?
Yep.
Okay. Take this part off. We're going to take this part off. This gets about 40 to 50 pounds of torque, foot-pounds of torque when you're hooking it up. If you have a torque wrench, we don't have one. So what we're going to do is we're going to very carefully, we're going to wipe this space here, and we're going to wipe this, and we're going to slide it out just a little bit more, so I don't want. All right. So you want to look and make sure this is going to evenly and smoothly thread. And it's not doing that yet. There it goes. So I'm just going to hand tighten this side first. I've got fairly strong hands, so I can get a good amount. And I'm going to, this is a little uneven. So I'm going to open this up just a little bit. Here we go. Nice and easy. Take this cap off. Take this cap off. There we go. I am really impressed with how easy it is to do this installation. It really, really is. Because if this were on an outside wall, this would be hanging on the outside. We'd be outside finishing up already. We just have to put the filters in the inside. That doesn't feel like it's going smooth, so I'm going to back that off. Because the quick connect doesn't actually release until you get it snug tight. And I'm just still tightening it up by hand.
Now, if you're reading the instructions, you'll notice it says, do not use Teflon tape or anything else like that, since that can actually cause your line sets to leak later. You'll also want to check the stamp on the connectors. That stamp is going to be referenced in a table that we're going to put up on the screen here. and you'll see the maximum torquing power that you want to put based on the stamp on the connector. The bottom line is, and this is what Steve is going to do, he's going to go to snug, and then he's going to twist it just a tiny bit more.
If you're doing this right now, be patient with yourself. Be patient with the process. This is the important part. I just hit snug. I'm going to go just a little bit more. That is going to be right now. Now that I know it, snug feels right. And by the way, it basically just stopped, and I just stuck a little bit more. And that one, this one may be at that same point. And I'm just wanting to make sure I've got my wrench locked on there real good to make absolutely certain. Yep, we are gold. Now we can go. You know what, since we're in here, let's go ahead and put our air filters up there, and then we can go outside and finish our installation. Okay, so we just took the plastic and tape off of here. This is your venting system, and you pop this up. And then this is your filters. So this little guy here goes right inside here. You can see that it just gets held in by these little things. And you just slide this back up into a little slot here on each side. And then you pop it over here. And then you do the same thing on this side. And then when we're done, you close that up. All right, so now the first thing we want to do is mount this, because we are in Florida, and in Florida you have to have your equipment affixed to concrete. So there are 4 holes I can drill here, 2 and 2, and then 2 and 2. But to be able to get to this, I've got to be able to take this grid off. These are very short screws, fall out. So those are the screws. And then you really aren't going to be too terribly interested in watching us drill holes into cement, but that's what we're going to do next, is drill these holes. And then we're going to bolt them down with Tapcon so this is affixed, and then we'll show you the finished product. We've got this anchored. We haven't put the cover back on because we've got to get this a little bit tighter, but we're going to go ahead and continue with hooking up the refrigerant lines. Now, I misspoke earlier. It is the other series and then the unitary where the refrigerant is stored in the line set. These do not have any refrigerant in them. The refrigerant is inside here. And so there's a wrench that we're going to use to release the refrigerant into the system, and then we're going to be good to go once that's hooked up. So we're going to hook these up now.
So we're going to remove that water tray on the right hand side.
So the water tray over here.
Now we're going to connect the line sets here the same way as we connected the line sets inside. The blue is going to go to the blue. We're going to be very careful in unrolling it here. And we'll be able to roll up the excess line set here after we've done the actual installation. We're just going to be very careful, again, as I said, not to put too much pressure on any given short length of line set so as we don't get a kink in the line set anywhere. We are going to connect the bottom one first. As you'll see, he's doing that there. You don't want to remove these sealing caps on the condenser until you are ready to immediately connect the line set. That's why we're removing them now. So that white connector is going to come off. And in a moment here, you'll see him connecting the line set to it. Again, just like we did inside with the 2 wrenches, we're going to bring it all the way to finger tight, and then to snug, and then just a little bit past snug. Now just like with the line sets on the indoors, you want to give yourself time to do this properly. You don't want to be rushing yourself. It's going to take a number of turns of the wrenches, and that's totally fine. Take your time, do it right. As a guide, remove the cover on the top valve using the 19mm open-ended wrench or a crescent adjustable type wrench. Then insert the 5mm Allen key and open the valve by turning it counterclockwise as far as it will go. Bold, underline caps, do not force it.
Okay, so I have to take this cap off or this cap? I'm not sure which cap.
These two caps.
These two caps. So I gotta take a crescent wrench.
Let's see. You want to do the top one first. Yeah.
So it just took a little bit of effort to get it to start. Okay, and now I gotta put this inside here.
Yep.
And then what?
Turn it counterclockwise as far as it'll go, but do not force it.
And it stopped.
Okay, do the same for the bottom one.
Cap back on.
Now at this point, you will check the piping connections at both the indoor unit and the outdoor unit for leaks.
Yep.
You can use that either using leak detection spray or applying a soapy water solution with liquid detergent and water mixture to the connection via spray bottle or brush. If any bubbles begin to form, that indicates there's a leak.
Okay, so we're gonna make some soapy solution and then we're gonna go inside and go see what we got. All right, so I've got a bucket here of hot soapy water. I'm just gonna take a sponge, get the sponge good and wet. Then I'm gonna go above these lines where they connected were. And then see what happens. And although it's a little messy, I don't see any bubbles at all. I think we've got a good seal. Let's go outside and do the same. All right, so remember, we were inside the house making a little bit of a mess, but normally you'd be doing the check up here, right? Because you're gonna wall mount it to an outside wall. We just happened to mount it to an interior wall by a closet and then ran it through. That's not your typical installation. And again, I see no bubbles anywhere. I think we've got a good seal. I think we're good to go. So we've done our soap test. We're not going to close this panel up yet because of the fact that we want to do a second soap test after the unit is up and running. We're going to put this grid back on since we had to take the grid off. All right, so now we're ready to wire this thing up and then fire it up. All right, so now we're going to wire up the electrical. We're going to open up the electrical panel on this bad boy. Now you can see, number one, there's red line, number one, on the here, number two. We're just literally just playing match game, people. That's all we've got to do.
And black is number 3.
And then this says number 3. We're going to slide that up under that metal plate that we loosened by loosening the screw. Back that up. That screw is this neutral. Not neutral, this is our ground wire. So I'm going to lasso that, and then there's a spot right here where that gets mounted down to. Now, that's all. I'm going to back that up just a little bit because I don't want that twisting like that. There we go. So now all we got to do is put our line in our neutral, which are going to be coming off
our power whip.
Off of our power supply. That's these bad boys right here. Okay, and then we take this out. Oh, dude.
What?
This was supposed to be through here. We got to undo all those wires.
Rip.
Oops. Are you recording? Okay, great. So good. This is one of those things that you learned to not do. So my power, my neutral, and my ground are right here. Okay. So I'm going to wire these up, and I'm going to take all these off and put them back on.
or down to the center point on the left-hand side, right about here.
Okay.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right, so you saw that we wired this up without putting this shield over top of it. So now we're going to do this right. We're going to take this off here, okay? We're going to thread the wires through here, okay, because we're going to run our main power line through the other side, right? So we're going to run this here, and then we're going to run this back over here, like this. We're going to tighten this down. Okay, now this is ready. So now I can just take number 2. All right, so we have wired up the air handler. Now we're ready to take the power from our junction box and put it in the other hole. Since the breaker is off, we don't have to worry about the wires touching. We can go ahead and set this up in here. We're going to take the nut, put it on here, and then tighten this down. Okay, we've got our line, we've got our neutral, and we got our ground. Our line. Our neutral. And our ground. And then we just tuck the wire up.
You'll notice in this segment of the video that Steve only had to connect those wires. He didn't have to deal with anything inside of the disconnect. That is something that should be done by a licensed electrician. You may have noticed that it was open earlier. That did get completed in the meantime.
And I'm making sure that all the connections are tight. And now, we're not going to put this back on yet because we got to do our running test. So we're ready to run this, aren't we?
Yep.
Okay, so now we're going to go turn the breaker on, and then we're going to grab the remote control, which already has batteries in it, and fire this thing up. I just heard it go, it just turned on. I'm going to grab the remote control, I'm going to hit power button, I'm going to turn down to 73, and I imagine this is going to take a moment to boot on, to do its thing. Now, oh yeah, baby, we want proof of airflow. How's that for proof of airflow? This thing is blowing cold. Now, I just want to be transparent with you. We did have to make 2 trips to the store, but as far as actual time on this job, it took us, I would say, 1 hour and 45 minutes to do this. It was the easiest thing this was so much easier than I thought it would be, even with the mistakes that we made, even with the additional effort of having to drill through cinder block and mounting this inside of a closet. With all of that added complexity, we still got this thing done in a matter of a few hours. Thank you.